A new head of creative has been named in WWE, and a major AEW vs New Japan feud continues. But first, let's look at the original plans for a recent AEW debut. On June 22nd, Bryan Danielson would make the announcement that he was forced to pull out of his planned match with Zack Sabre Jr. at the Forbidden Door event, as well as the Blood and Guts match just days later. He would ultimately be replaced by Claudio Castagnoli, who became the newest member of the Blackpool Combat Club, who showed up as the surprise opponent for Sabre Jr. at the AEW New Japan Joint show. This weekend, following his victory over Jonathan Gresham to win the ROH World Championship, Claudio would join Tony Khan to speak with the media, where the Ring of Honor and AEW owner would reveal the original debut plans for Castagnoli. And he would say, "The original plan was for him to debut here at Death Before Dishonor. It would have been a different build to the pay-per-view than what we did, and I think in a way everything worked out perfectly. Originally, my vision when we spoke was for Claudio to come back at Ring of Honor and debut as a mystery wrestler. I think there would have been a lot of anticipation for who it was going to be, but I also think that it would have been a great delivery, and I honestly think that if fans had gotten drawn to the possibility of who it could be, wishing and hoping that it was going to be Claudio, who I believe was the best free agent wrestler available." Khan would then add that he always knew Claudio could possibly replace Bryan Danielson at the Forbidden Door and in Blood and Guts, which is what ultimately happened. Tony has previously revealed that Claudio was under contract before the Bryan announcement and was already waiting to debut him. It's not clear if the mystery wrestler spot would have been in a match for the ROH World Championship like we saw, but either way it's clear Tony Khan holds Claudio in high regard, with him becoming the first ROH World Champion crowned under his new ownership. And before we get to the rest of the news, make sure you check out the brand new WrestlePlanet merchandise, where you can find the awesome Final Boss t-shirts, which features the 1,000-year champion of WrestlePlanet going face to face with his next miscellaneous unnamed challenger. You can also find the basic WrestlePlanet t-shirt and hoodie if you're looking for something a little bit more low-key. So head to WrestlePlanet.com/store or use the link that's found in the description. That's WrestlePlanet.com/store, or find the link in the description below. Next up, we have more on the alleged communication issues in All Elite Wrestling. As we discussed in a video earlier today, former ROH World Champion Jonathan Gresham has reportedly asked for his release from his AEW contract. Gresham is said to be frustrated with the lack of communication with AEW President Tony Khan, as well as him being unhappy with his recent creative direction. One wrestler who is said to have had communication issues with Khan in the past is former AEW star Joey Janela, who today took to Twitter to clear a few things up regarding his recent remarks. And Janela would say, "I never said that. Tony is quite approachable and easy to find. It's really not Tony's job, it's talent relations. I'm sure if I texted Tony, I would have got a text back or a phone call, but I wasn't really trying to push a new deal with other negotiations in place. Communication could definitely be better. Never said Tony was a ghost." Gresham isn't the only one to have had communication problems with Tony, with Chavo Guerrero publicly voicing his displeasure in the past, with Marco Stuntz saying he didn't hear from Tony Khan until after his AEW contract had expired. Right now, neither AEW, Khan, or Gresham have responded to recent reports, and it's currently unknown if Gresham has been granted his release. Next, Vince McMahon wanted the Bullet Club. Over the past decade, one of the most successful factions in wrestling has been the Bullet Club in New Japan Pro Wrestling, with the group forming in 2013 before going on to have phenomenal merchandise sales in the United States, with it being impossible to go to a wrestling show without seeing a Bullet Club t-shirt in the crowd. This week on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy podcast, the current AEW and then WWE star would reveal Vince McMahon's reaction to seeing the shirt showing up on every WWE show, and he would reveal, "When this Bullet Club phenomenon was happening and they were selling all this merch, I mean, obviously it was on Vince's radar. There was one point where Vince said, all these shirts, they keep showing up at our shows. These Bullet Club shirts, who are these people? Who are these people? Where are they from? It's this real hot act, they're from New Japan, sometimes they come over and do Ring of Honor stuff." And Vince said, "I want them all." He got a lot of the Bullet Club, but he didn't get them all. In the end, WWE would successfully sign the likes of Adam Cole, AJ Styles, and the Good Brothers, all who were vital parts of the stable, as well as Finn Balor, although he would have already been signed to the company before the conversation took place. Multiple Bullet Club members have turned down WWE's approaches, however, including Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Hangman Page, as well as Cody Rhodes at the time, although he obviously eventually returned to WWE earlier this year. Clearly, Vince saw an opportunity to profit off the success of the Bullet Club, with many references and similar merchandise being released over the years. And speaking of WWE trying to buy things, they were close to buying Ring of Honor. On the March 2nd edition of AEW Dynamite, it was announced that AEW president Tony Khan had purchased the assets to Ring of Honor, going on to hold 2 pay-per-views since. This weekend, following the Death Before Dishonor event, Khan was asked if ROH will act as a developmental territory for All Elite Wrestling, something that he ruled out. He then spoke of how quickly the acquisition unfolded, implying WWE were close to getting the deal done before he stepped in, and he would say, "It happened really quickly. I had an opportunity and had to make a decision that day. Take it or leave it, or it's going to sell to the other obvious person that it would sell to. And I thought for many reasons it was the right move. It worked out so great as a business move for everyone involved. I don't see Ring of Honor as developmental for AEW at all. I see AEW Dark as developmental for AEW." While some crossover is good, it's important for Ring of Honor to have its own identity and to not act as a lesser promotion to AEW, something which they pulled off well this weekend. With a TV deal on the horizon, ROH is set for its most successful era in terms of numbers, with this weekend's Death Before Dishonor being the company's most attended show outside of WrestleMania weekend events, just 2 shows into the Tony Khan era. Next up, a new head of creative has been named in WWE. Earlier this week, hell would freeze over when Vince McMahon announced his retirement from WWE, something many thought they'd never see. Of course, his hand was somewhat forced by recent sexual misconduct allegations, but nonetheless, many thought he'd still die on the throne, so to speak. Well, since then, many have wondered who will be taking over his roles, one of the most important of which being head of creative, who decides the on-screen storylines and ultimately who gets pushed. Today, WWE released a statement on the matter, confirming that it will in fact be Paul Levesque, better known as Triple H, who will take the creative reins. In a statement that further confirms the roles of Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan, the company would write, WWE and its board of directors today announced the appointment of Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan as co-chief executive officers. Ms. McMahon has also been appointed chairwoman of the board, and Mr. Khan will continue to serve as a member of the board. These appointments follow Vince McMahon's retirement announcement on Friday, July 22nd. Additionally, WWE executive Paul Levesque will assume all responsibilities related to WWE's creative, in addition to his regular duties. Triple H, who is also the new head of talent relations, has long been praised for his work in NXT, a brand which at its peak was easily the best show WWE had to offer. With many Triple H guys out of the door, a lot of which have ended up in AEW or as free agents, it certainly opens up the door to many possible returns going forward, with Vince McMahon not always seeing Hunter's guys as WWE superstars. It was recently reported by Wade Keller of PW Torch that multiple AEW stars are more open to a WWE return now that Vince is gone, and likely even more so now that Triple H is in charge of on-screen presentations. Next, a major AEW vs New Japan feud continues. Earlier this week, current IWGP United States Champion Will Ospreay would release a t-shirt mocking former AEW World Champion Kenny Omega, depicting Ospreay hitting a one-winged angel on his opponent. Of course, the one-winged angel is the finishing move of Omega, a move nobody has ever kicked out of in AEW and only once ever. On the front of the shirt, it says Billy the Wanker, which is apparently Will Ospreay's new nickname, and on the back, it says better than the best bout machine, which is of course Kenny's nickname. After the shirt's release, Pro Wrestling Tees would announce that they have had to pull it due to legal reasons, with them taking to Twitter to say, "Public notice. Due to receiving a cease and desist warning, we have removed the Will Ospreay Billy the Wanker double-sided tee from ProWrestlingTees.com. Kenny Omega, who has been going back and forth online with Ospreay for quite some time, would reveal that it was him and AEW that got the shirt taken down, and Omega would tweet, "This triggered various legal concerns with AEW. Sincerest apologies to fans of Will. We've made it so all orders up to today will be honored." Ospreay himself would then respond to Kenny by posting a video on Twitter where he would address the situation and had some harsh words for the cleaner, and he said, "I have just exposed Kenny Omega as an insecure little bit. It was fine when those guys were throwing up the too sweet and got hit with a cease and desist. They continued to poke the bear. When it is me doing it to you guys, you have a problem with it. It's because Kenny is a miserable little prick. I'm doing the things he's done, plus more. You're also pissed off because the vision you had for AEW has now turned into something you don't like, and people are starting to get NXT vibes about the joint, or maybe it's because the Joshi wrestlers are not getting TV time, but the 205 Live guys are. Now the shoe is on the other foot. You've turned into the big boys trying to look down on the little guys." The release of the One Winged Angel t-shirt would follow a recent Rev Pro show in England where Ospreay would hit Mad Kurt with the move before lifting his opponent's shoulder off the canvas before the 1-2-3. It looks like AEW and New Japan are adding some more fuel to the Ospreay Omega fire, with the match becoming increasingly more likely as time goes on. This isn't the first time that a worked cease and desist angle has been used in wrestling, however, with the Elite claiming WWE filed a cease and desist against them for using the Too Sweet hand sign, something that obviously didn't happen in real life. And before you go, make sure you check out every All In wrestler that didn't sign for AEW.